Hi, Bonnie Brown, Outward Spiral. I am creating this video today because I've had a couple of requests of people who want absolute beginner. So this is a tutorial for those that don't have any experience at all or have never been to a class. The other motivation that I have for creating this video is to help give people some confidence to get out into a classroom setting. I teach classes locally in Sarasota, Florida. If you don't live close to that, then I would definitely encourage you to check out teachers in your area. I know that it can be really difficult to go to a new class, to go to anything new, actually. I mean, most of us have some sort of anxiety, and I think even particularly these days, just with everybody texting and social media, there's an absence of a lot of face-to-face interaction. And so just getting out to your first class can be a big step. I think that there's a lot of benefit to it. I mean, aside from the obvious, just being around a teacher that can be interactive with you and give you feedback on your particular movements, but also the connections that you make with the other people in the class. The support that you get, not only from the teacher, but the other people in the class. And I think it's we would be remiss to not qualify the human connection more than we do. So while tutorials are great for getting you started or sparking interest, I think that the ultimate goal should be to get to a class. If you don't have a teacher that's close enough to you to do weekly classes, then maybe find one that's within an hour drive or so and check out a workshop. Something that's going to be for more than an hour and is maybe worth the drive. But with that all being said, hopefully this helps to get you guys started and give you the confidence to make it out to a class. All right, so the first thing that you need is a hoop. I suggest a fairly large sized hoop, or large by today's standards. This is a 41 inch. The hoop that I currently use is about a 31 inch. This size hoop that I currently use is probably more in line with children's size hoops that you can find, but I want you to keep in mind that this, I've been hooping for 10 years and I've been using this size hoop for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4, but it took me a while to get down to this size, and I started off with a hoop similar to this size. Actually, my first hoop was even larger. But anyway, the larger hoops, the reason why you want to have larger hoops is because they rotate slower. So the time that it takes this hoop to rotate around my body is going to be a lot slower than my other hoop. So this guy is going to move significantly faster than the big guy. So by it moving slower, that gives you more time to make movements. So I would strongly suggest getting a larger hoop. You're not going to be able to find ones like this in discount stores. You're going to find cheap children's versions of these guys. So, you know, go online, find a local hoop maker. I make these. You can certainly get them from me, or if you have a local hoop vendor near you, you can get one from them. Usually the only other place that you can buy these in stores is like fitness places, but those are usually a lot heavier than they really need to be. This guy, even though he's quite big, he's got a little weight to him because he's big, but the tubing itself is not very heavy. And there's nothing inside of this to give it any extra weight. So that being said, I'm going to get you guys started. So the most common foot position, and not limited to just this, let me back up so you can see what I'm doing, is 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. And I'm just going to rock forward and back. So the first thing that I do is place the hoop on my back and keep the hoop level. So we want it to be perpendicular to your body. If you've got any kind of angle to your hoop, then when you get it a sling around your body, it's going to wobble. So you want to have it nice and flat. And when you do send it across your body, you also want to send it straight across instead of slightly down or slightly up, and that's also going to cause a wobble. And if it happens, just try it again. So one thing to note is that you can send the hoop around your body, and without putting much effort into it, it's going to rotate around, assuming that you have it connected and you give it the right kind of push around. I'm not going to move it all, just a demonstration. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got about 4 rotations before it got to my waist there. So what I would suggest that you do with these hoops is let it get at least 1 or 2 rotations in there before you decide when and how to start moving. Think about your hoop is your dance partner, and it is leading, so it's going to tell you the rhythm that you need to move around the body. So back up here again so you can see my feet. So you're going to give it a push to one side. Once it leads you to understand the rhythm that you need to follow with it, you're just going to shift your weight forward and back. So I'm shifting my weight between my front foot and my back foot, and my body is just going forward and back. So notice my hips are not tilting. I'm not doing like pelvic thrusts this way or this way. If I tilt my pelvis, then the hoop is going to tilt accordingly. So if I tilt my pelvis this way, my hoop's going to tilt this way. If I tilt my pelvis this way, my hoop's going to tilt. So I need my hips squared and my pelvis straight up and down to keep the hoop rotating around in a way that I want it to stay on my body. So that's one way. The other way is feet side by side like this, and so it changes my push point a little bit. Now I'm pushing out from the sides of my body like this, and I'm still shifting from leg to leg, but now it's going from left to right instead of front to back. And the push points are now more on my obliques, whereas here they're on the front and the back of my body. Okay, so that's how I get it started. It's probably going to drop a couple of times the first time you do it. Totally fine. Expect it to drop and just be ready to recover it. So the cool thing about hoop dance is that it's not about never making a mistake. It's not like the hooping in circus arts or any kind of competitive sports. It's about moving in flow. So that's being able to go with it even when things don't go according to plan. So I'll give you a couple of recovery methods. One is your rhythm starts to slow, so the hoop starts to drop down. The faster you go, the higher the hoop's going to go. The slower you go, the lower it is. So if you start to drop your rhythm a little bit, then your hoop is going to drop. So the way that I do that is I speed it up, but also if you notice, I made a little circle with my body. So I pushed a little bit and made a bigger circle with the center of my body, and I started going faster. So that's one, just going faster and making circles. Another one is I am going to just kind of bend my knees and get underneath the hoop. So here, the hoop starts to drop to my hips, and then instead of trying to get the hoop back up to my waist, I'm going to bring my waist to the hoop. Whoop, there you go. And then the last one I'm going to show, and my absolute favorite, is the break. So this one is going to be really valuable in lots of stages of hoop dance. And that is just reaching down, grabbing the hoop, and stopping it. So you can practice this when you don't need to, just stopping it. What you want to do is stop it when the hoop is going to be on your back, so that you can pull it into your back, just like how you did to start it. Stop. And then you're in a position to start again. So if the hoop starts to get away from you, you just stop it and restart it higher. So that's the break. So if your hoop just starts to drop, it's supposed to be staying at your natural waist for waist hooping. If it drops just to your hips, like where most people wear their pants nowadays, closer to your hip bones, then you can usually use one of the first two methods, where you just kind of dip down a little bit or you go faster. If it gets much past that, then you, in the beginning, you want to use your hands. There's lots of other more elaborate ways of getting it up there once you've got the basics, but that's kind of the simplest way, is to reach down and grab it. And the beautiful thing about this is that you, even when the hoop starts to stray and it starts to drop a little bit on you, you are training your body how to, where the hoop is on your body and how to grab it. If you notice, I don't have to look at the hoop, but I know where it is at all times in my body, and I can just reach down and grab it. So those are the recovery methods. The other thing that I would really encourage you to do as a beginner is start to shift your weight around in your feet. So shifting the weight around in your feet and starting to move, starting to drag your feet around a little bit, turn into the current, into the direction that the hoop is going in, and also try going in the opposite direction, try going the other way. This is going to be really helpful if you do this when you first start hooping, instead of waiting until you've gone from novice to amateur and then try to go in your second current. So working in the second current, starting to move the feet, because moving the feet is the start to hoop dance, and that's really where we're going with this, is being able to unlock the movement and be able to move inside the hoop and dance and be expressive. Moving the feet, moving the arms, relaxing the shoulders. So many more details. I can go into this, but I'll end up doing an hour class on this video. But I think that that's a good place to start with that stuff. Let me just check in and make sure that I said everything that I wanted to say about beginning. So yeah, big size hoop. Oh, also just play with your hoop. I mean, you don't have to have the hoop spinning around your waist. You can dance around inside of it, moving it around, turning it, moving, just playing with it against your body, in your hand, and turning it and holding it in different ways. Just play with it. It's a toy. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be something that serious that you do perfect when you start off with it. You know, it's a hula hoop. It's not that serious. And, you know, and again, I would definitely encourage you to check out a class, join a group. Some areas, they might not have regular classes, but they have regular hoop jams. So there's a group of people that meet on a regular basis, and they usually at hoop jams, what happens is somebody plays some music, and you just hoop, and it's fairly friendly, so that you can go up and talk to other people and ask them how they did a move, and hoopers are generally pretty friendly and want to share and help. So yeah, join a group, belong, get out of your shell. There's also a lot to be said about overcoming the anxiety of trying something new. Leads to a lot of inner strength. So anyway, I hope that I inspired you to get into a hoop, to get a hoop, and to go try it out. Thanks.